discuss. If you do agree that there are things like beauty pageants, right? You would agree with me on that?
Superficial, yeah.
Can you speak into the mic, or I can't hear you?
Yeah. Beauty pageants are very superficial.
Yeah, but you do agree that they exist?
Yeah, they exist.
Yeah, you got to speak into the mic, or I can't hear you.
Yeah, they exist.
Okay, great. So at a beauty pageant, what are the types of things you think that are judged?
I don't know. I've never been to one.
You've never seen a beauty pageant? Well, if you just had
Not
to guess.
really. I mean, I don't know. They do like the little rating signs stuff. It's rating on little girls, which is a weird, whole nother.
Yeah, I get it, but that's not the conversation that we're having.
Okay.
And no, you can have beauty pageants with 25, 30-year-olds. They're very common. So they hold up the little signs. Those little signs have numbers, and those numbers on the signs are allocating a rating, usually somewhere between 1 and 10, right? So if you were to say that you had 1,000 people who were holding up those little signs, and you were in the beauty pageant, what do you think most of the signs would say?
I don't know, because I don't know what other people think about me.
You're talking to her like she's a little kid. Come on.
I totally understand that you don't know what other people think about you. There's no way for you to know that.
Yeah.
But I think you can take an educated guess as to what you think that those signs would say. So for me, I think that the signs would pretty much range somewhere between 3 to 5, and I would probably center somewhere around 4. That's just a guess, though.
For himself? For yourself?
For me.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he rated everyone a 3 the other night.
I don't know.
It's the same question. She's not going to answer.
It's not the same question, though. I'm not asking her to rate herself. So that would be the opposite of the rate yourself
so you're
question.
saying what
That would be
other
asking
people-
if other people were rating you. What do you think that 1,000 of them, if they were holding up signs, what do you think that would kind of end up
I mean,
centering
it would probably
around?
range. It depends on like someone's personal
I can't hear a word you say because you just won't speak into the mic. What you should do is tilt the top of it, tilt it up towards your mouth. There you go, and then speak right into it, because that's how the audience and me hear you.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. I just wouldn't rate myself. I don't know. Why is it like?
She's
Well,
saying
you're not
it's
rating.
a perception
You're not
thing.
rating yourself, though.
Oh, well, if someone else were to, I don't know. How would I?
I just rated you. I rated
She
you.
rated me a 9. So.
Hold on. Allow him to
That's
have
nice.
his conversation.
Yeah, you're not rating yourself in this scenario. I'm not even interested in your self-rating. I'm interested in what you think that the people in the crowd would rate you.
In a crowd full of people, I couldn't say what they would rate.
You
me.
kind of just sound like you're asking a question like a cop would ask you if you're drunk in a bunch of different ways just to get you to admit guilt. It's like you're asking her to assume what other people would rate her based on her rating of herself, damn near. Like it's the same question, just reversed in a different way to try and get her to answer it. You know what I mean? It's like if a cop asks you
No,
how
I don't
many
know
drinks.
what you mean. They're two completely different questions. So, for instance, if
Well,
you said
it's
Andrew,
because of your own
if you-
narrative
hang
in
on,
your
hang on.
head.
I'll explain. If you said Andrew, what do you rate yourself? I could say, oh, I rate myself a 2 or a 3 or a 4 or a 10. I could say any of those things. However, my answer may drastically change if you said there was 1,000 women with signs rating you. What do you think they would rate you? Not only is this not the same question, but it could have 2 totally different answers.
Well, if you're asking a completely different question than Brian's asking, then what's the point of her answering it in the
Am I
first
not
place?
allowed to ask a different question than Brian's asking?
But he's harping on the fact that he wants his question answered. So if you're asking,
Yeah, I understand. I'm asking a totally different question. My purpose at this point is just to determine if she's bad faith or not, if she's willing to actually engage with the spirit of a question which is asked. So you do understand that there's a distinction between obfuscating away from answering a question, which is fine, or answering away from the spirit of a question. Like, for instance, malicious compliance. If I were to say something to you like, hey, can you hand me that Coke? And you said no because it's a Pepsi, that would not actually be going with the spirit of the request, right? That would be what's called malicious compliance. So I'm just curious if you'll answer any questions.
I did answer.
Yeah, so
I
can you
gave a
answer
0.
can you answer to mine?
I already said 0 and I said 9 and then I don't know.
That's 2 totally different answers.
Because I don't want to rate myself. I don't know what I am, and I don't know what other people think of me. So, like, I wouldn't want to just, like, say, like, oh, this, that's just weird. Like, no?
no, I get it.
Like, is that not weird?
I mean, if she's not
No,
comfortable.
I mean, I don't think it's weird. I think that what's trying to be determined here, so that you understand the spirit of why this is asked, wouldn't you consider that there are people who have narcissistic tendencies? And if they did have narcissistic tendencies, one such tendency would be that you had misplaced confidence in yourself that did not actually map onto reality. That would be a good trait of determining a narcissist. So you just kind of wonder if you're moving into this idea that there could be potentially female narcissism, and they gave you these kind of wild answers about a self-rating or how they believe other people would rate themselves. Wouldn't that kind of allude, if you heard that often enough, that there could be some merit to the idea that women are experiencing narcissism en masse?
Yeah, so if you think that, the point of the question is to extinguish whether or not a woman has unnecessary confidence, or however you put it, sorry, I'm not quoting you directly, but however you put it, if it's to counteract if there's a narcissistic woman in the room and has like irrational confidence that doesn't base up or doesn't match up with reality, if her not answering does that show that she's not a narcissist if she doesn't feel comfortable rating?
I think it does, and I can kind of give you my reasoning why. So I think that if you were to avoid a simple question, when it's very clear, at least to the onlookers, that you do have some kind of answer to it, you just don't want to actually give it because you're afraid of the repercussions of what people might think about you if you told them the truth.
I mean, she came out here and said her body count.
Let me explain the rationale, and then you can respond. I think that if that is the case, then yeah, I think that would allude to some kind of large ego or some, perhaps, what I would consider to be female narcissistic tendencies, because why avoid the question? That's just very odd to me. See, that's what's weird to me.
I'm just not.
I think if you were here from the beginning of the show, you would know she's not a narcissist. It comes from a place quite the opposite. So you can't like judge people right off the bat.
What place does her refusal come from?
It could be a place from low confidence, some insecurity, how she's perceived by others, what it may make her look like to others. It comes from a place of fear, I think, in a way. Because
Yeah, well, I mean, so there's, I mean, all of these are direct possibilities, I agree. But I think that the way a person would answer such a question would show us which of those possibilities it's more aligned with, wouldn't you?
She literally just said that she could either be a 0 and she's fine accepting a 0, or she's fine accepting a 9. She doesn't care about rating herself.
Yeah,
It doesn't make her a narcissist
I don't really understand what that has to do with what my question just was. Depending on how a person would answer such a question, it could give you some insight into how it is that their mentality actually is when it's mapped onto reality. So are you just saying, well, I avoid the question by saying it could be any of these things? We all know that it could be any of these things. Nobody disputes it could be any of these things. It could be 0, and it could be 10, it could be 8, it could be 7.5, it could be 6.6, it could be any variation thereof. We just want to hear which one it is.
Well, I didn't have an answer.
You don't have to answer, that's true.
Would you date a guy who's broke?
Yeah, I have. I've financially supported a man.
You have.
Sucks.
Would you prefer to date a man who has money?
Yeah, but
Isn't that a numerical
Happens.
value judgment? You're judging a man based off of.
not really, because I don't judge if they're broke or have money. I don't care.
You don't care at all?
No.
You'll date a guy who works at McDonald's?
I dated a guy who had not even a bank account.
Cool. You could have been 18 and you were dating a guy who was your age and he didn't have money.
No, I witnessed her dating a guy who didn't have a job.
You used to date. You dating somebody in the past has no bearing on your current preferences.
Current preferences range, because I do hang with guys that are wealthy and I do hang with guys that are dirt broke. So I don't know. It ranges.
Can I say something about this argument? Because it's always brought up by so many people. And those guys that have money, that are very rich, they're adult men, they choose to be with women. They are not idiots. They probably realize why those women are there, and they choose to be with them. So there's something in those
What does that have to
women.
do with...
Well, because it kind of makes, oh, she's a gold digger.
That's not what I'm
vilified.
implying at all.
But some other people are.
He's just trying-
No, the point I'm trying to make is you have an objection to this numerical value judgment. But
yeah, like rating our looks. That's
right,
just
but a
weird.
corresponding value judgment,
I'm
would be
really
choosing
surprised I ever went along with it. Honestly, I just thought that was crazy to ask, even like to be like, put a number on yourself.
Are you
Like,
saying a
I don't-
guy, if
But when I asked you the question about have you seen really attractive women dating men who are mid, you are doing a categorization. You are doing a rank ordering. This person is more attractive than this person. Perhaps you don't
In general,
like.
there's people that have those opinions that someone can.
You got to
be
tilt
in,
your mic
but,
down
like,
a little bit. Aim the mic
Yeah.
straight at you. Here, you guys just take over that from now on. Just fix the mics for people. Okay, so you acknowledging that there are men who can be classed as mid.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of using numbers, if we said 10 is
I would never
perfect,
call like a guy or someone like mid like that. Like,
you wouldn't say
know?
it to their face. That's not the question.
Also rating
Are there
someone
mid?
else's.
Are there mid guys?
Also rating
No,
someone
no,
else's.
no, no, no. Hold on.
About
Are there
those
mid
looks.
guys?
I don't know. To someone's perspective, yes. To someone else's perspective, no.
Well, from your perspective, are some men less attractive than others?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, well, if that's true, then you have now made a ranked categorization. That's the same
I'm not
categorization
ranking
we're
anyone
asking you.
with an actual number. Like, I would never do
But you're
that.
saying that there are men more attractive than other men. That's just kind of what they're saying.
Yeah, but generalizing, oh, this person's more attractive than this person, and rating yourself is two totally different
Yeah.
things.
Well, I don't really see how, really. So it seems to me that you would get the state of whether or not you're attractive from the gaze of other people, not necessarily from yourself, or what standard would you be going off of. So if you can rate other men as being this one's less attractive than this one, I would assume that you could also probably rate females and say that this one's less attractive than this one. And though somehow when it comes to you,
Females
you can't be
definitely
objective with the
not.
standard, that's very strange to me.
Why females definitely not?
Because I love women.
And you think, what about men?
Men I have had, I don't know.
I mean, you've had bad
difficulties.
experiences with women too.
That's
Yeah,
true.
you date. You find women sexually and romantically appealing, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
of
So,
course.
because I've heard this objection, well, I can't rank other women because I'm not attracted to them. But you are attracted to women, so that's not really.
But I wouldn't rank them. I wouldn't rank anyone. Why do we have to rank people? Like, that's just really mean.
But you already did when you say that some men are less attractive than others. You've ranked
Yeah,
them.
it's a categorization. You're creating a hierarchy. You just don't like the words used to describe the hierarchy, but there's a hierarchy nevertheless.
Okay.
Are you guys still talking only about looks, or does it some
Yeah,
other
just looks.
aspect?
Just looks.
Why are you bringing up money then? How much money a guy makes?
Well,
Talking
that
about,
became
he
a
was talking about numerically,
Oh, I
like
see.
they're
yeah. So that became a segue, and the reason that money was brought up is to say, well, wait. Clearly, you can make some categorizations when it comes to preferences, what you would rather date or not date, even if it came to something that wasn't looks. But somehow you forget that looks, you now suddenly can't rank anybody based on looks. Though you then admit that, wait, some men are less attractive than
It's
others,
not that
which
I
means you're
can't, I
rating
just
them by
don't want
looks.
to.
So.
Respectfully, that's all it is. I just said I'm not comfortable with rating myself, let alone someone
Yeah,
else.
that's fine. I was responding to her inquiry, not.
Yeah.
No, I don't give a shit if you rate yourself or not. I think that it's just a waste of time at this point, honestly.
So we have 110 at the table then.
Yeah. Pop off.
So are you prepared to then say, given the other women's ratings here, you're the only one who said 10? Do you think you're the most attractive girl here?
I actually, when I said I was a 10, I said I believe all the other people in this room are a 10,
Okay. I recall
Including
that.
the guys.
Everybody's a 10.
including the guys. I didn't say everybody, I said everybody in this
But
room.
earlier, once again, if I can bring this back up, when I asked the question earlier of, have you ever seen a beautiful woman with
Yes.
a mid guy?
Yes, and I said yes, but I said everybody in this room is a 10, not everybody in general.
Well, I mean, what percentage of the population would you say is a 10? Looks-wise, for men and
From
women.
my perception,
Yeah, what's the percentage of the population that falls into the 10 category?
maybe like, that's a hard question actually. I'd say maybe under 50%, like 30 to 40% of people are a 10. There's a lot of people in the world.
So
Are we saying just based on looks or personality?
just looks.
Just
Is
based
it,
on
is it, is it, is
So-
it
Only
face
looks.
looks or is it like body and
All of it.
Everything.
Just
the whole
thing?
package.
Whole
whole
package.
I also think we have to think about, people have certain types. To someone, I might be their type. And some people see me, they see the tattoos and the hair, and they're like, oh, she's lower than a 10.
Because
Well-
she's like a specific niche type of
Yeah.
alternative
Well,
girl pretty.
Okay, but
Well, which is-
so So I've magically, even though it's a minority of people that are 10s, I've somehow managed to just wrangle every single person at this table is a 10. Wait, so,
You just have the most beautiful people on this podcast. I'm the most beautiful in the world.
yeah, I guess I'm just a
I
really
don't
good talent
know.
coordinator that always gets
Yeah.
perfect 10 models.
You should
on
change
my
it to the
shows.
beautiful podcast instead of
That's
the whatever
I
podcast.
probably should.
I agree. You should.
I definitely should. So okay, so everyone's a 10. Not everyone's a 10 though. You said only 20 to, or 30 to 40 to 50% of people are 10s.
Sure, yeah.
Okay, and what's the breakdown for like 9, 8, 7? Because that's a lot. That's a big percentage to be at 10.
I
To be
guess.
perfect.
I think it comes from confidence. So I think that's why I rated myself a 10 because that's what I truly believe. And even when I may be like sick or at my lowest, I still think I'm a 10 in that moment because of my mindset.
Can I bring up something that's kind of relevant, but it's a really interesting topic to me?
Well, hold on. Is it related to the rating thing?
Yeah, kind of.
Okay, go ahead.
So it is. So I think, well, in this society we live in now, right?
Yeah.
A lot of how maybe we compare ourselves or how other people compare you is how they see you online, right? And how you're perceived on social media and you know the whole social media thing, right?
Yeah.
So when there's so much AI now, you know, coming into light. And like, for example, some brands, they're hiring a guy to create an AI model. So she's obviously very beautiful. So maybe in like 5 years, all the models online are going to be replaced with AI. So how do you think it's going to change our perception, how we're going to rate ourselves? No, like how
did we get here?
well, because think about
Well,
it.
this is a really good question. It's an interesting question.
No, it definitely
So
is
if
an interesting question.
I think it'll be easier, honestly, if like all the like say you're going through like Amazon and you're looking at like corsets or something like that, or you're looking at articles of clothing, like it's easier to not compare yourself to the models. I'm talking about the
No, but
models
is it
wearing
going
the
to be
clothes.
relevant? Is it going to be relevant in the scheme of things?
It's not going to be relevant because AIs aren't real though. Like you're
Yeah,
not going to
but-
compare yourself to a fucking robot.
No,
like
I know,
Neither
but-
that's your
a
10
generator.
rating.
Except people already
Yeah.
have. That's the sad.
But I'm
It's not
saying,
real
why?
either. But we don't live in the world that's real. We live in the world of fucking make-believe. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yeah, if it's AI, it's all
I feel like we
make-believe.
do.
Okay. So everybody's a 10. All guys are 10. Is there an equal distribution of 10 women and 10 men?
Sure, yeah. I would say so.
You guys want to be so politically correct.
I'm not trying to be politically correct. This is
Sure,
just how I
yeah.
am.
It's just like, yeah, I guess I just agree with whatever you're saying, so I can't get into an argument. Okay. All right. Well, I'll have to ask a different question then. Do you think you'll be better looking in 10 years than you are now? Starting with you. Into the mic.
I don't know. Maybe. Maybe.
Bro, you've come on a podcast. Every answer, I don't know, maybe, sure. Just, I'm going to give you the pass on the 10 thing, but from here on out, just engage with the actual questions.
Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to answer that.
I mean, 32. She's going to look this
Okay.
32. I think
You'll be-
I, then
so-
I probably would look fine. Yeah.
Did you? Okay, I want you to repeat back to me the question that I asked. Go ahead.
You asked how I would look and how you think I would look in what 10 years? You said.
Try again.
Do you think?
No. Try again.
Okay, then I don't know. You said it once, and I'm supposed to.
Yeah, you're supposed to be listening to
You're supposed to remember this thing that he asked you once. I mean,
I ask you
I tell you,
10
that's a
seconds
tall
ago?
order,
I thought
Brian.
all the
Hang on,
questions are
Brian, you are asking a
Pardon
lot.
her, she's
You're
reading
asking him questions. You're only asking it one time. Maybe you should just repeat yourself. Over and over again.
with every single person.
He asked,
Okay, I will repeat the question. Do you think you will be better looking, your looks, will you be better looking in 10 years as compared to how you look now? So you're 22. Will you be better looking at 32 than you are now at 22?
Probably not. I mean, probably not. No, I guess.
Okay.
Yes,
So you'll be better looking at 32 than you are now at 22.
I believe so. Yes.
What about 42?
Probably not.
Okay. What about you? You're 26.
I
Better
just-
looking at 36.
Yeah.
Better looking at 46.
Yeah.
Better looking at 56.
Would start get a little bit more down.
Yeah.
a little bit.
Just to be clear, so better looking at 46 than 26.
Yes.
Okay. And so are you peaking in your late 40s, looks wise?
It's not about like picking.
What's it about?
It's more about the internal power that comes with the wisdom.
Here, repeat the question back to me.
Okay, it's about the hotter.
No. Just repeat the question back
Do you
to me.
think you'll be hotter looking?
That's not what I said. Repeat the question back.
Or do you think you'll be better looking at 46?
Yeah. So
I
better
do
looking,
think so.
Better looking, visual.
Okay, yes.
How does that have anything to do with your internal
Wisdom.
wisdom? Thank
Okay.
the
Okay. Yes.
fuck?
Okay. Yes. I
Hold
know.
on.
I know.
Anonymous
One moment.
donated $200. First time donating. Shout out to Margarita.
Who's
I'm
that?
a huge fan. All of you should listen to her band, Edge of Paradise. Great band. Take care.
Yo, Anonymous, thank you, man.
That was the sweetest comment.
Thank you.
love
Appreciate
that.
it. All right.
Okay. So I'm more on the track now. So okay. So I do think I will be better looking at 46 because with my health, I am trying to get better every single day, and I do find women in their 40s really, really attractive, and
Okay.
I just like
repeat
can't
the
help
question
it.
back to me.
Do you think you will be better looking at 46? Yes, I do.
Okay, but so the question wasn't, do you think you'll still be attractive at 46?
I didn't say
I'm not
still.
I'm not saying women can't be attractive.
But I didn't
in
say
their
still.
40s.
But I didn't say still. I said I do think I will be better looking in my 40s because with my health.
But you said because I've seen women who are in their 40s and they're attractive.
She said because
I'm not
she's,
saying
she's
that
working
that's
on her
not the
health.
case.
Because I'm working on my own personal
she said in the
health.
beginning that she has a lot of health issues.
Right.
So with time,
assuming your health did not improve in the negative or towards the positive at all, it just remained precisely how it is. Although that's typically not the case as you age. Typically as you age, especially over the course of 20 years, your health is typically not going to be better. But I'll just grant that it'll just remain the same.
Okay.
Will you be better looking in 20 years?
from my own personal perspective, I do think so. Because
Well, but you said because of health reasons, and I've excluded you using it health reasons.
and that's fine. I just think that
So what are the other reasons that you'll look better then?
because to me personally, a mature woman looks really more beautiful.
Okay.
So it's really just about the external beauty of it all. A
If
mature
that
woman
is
just looks
if that
beautiful.
is actually the case, that you believe from your perspective
Yeah.
that women who are mature look more beautiful, then why don't you do makeup to make yourself look older?
Because I don't actually usually wear
that's
makeup
a good
at
argument.
all. I've only
You're
done
wearing
my
makeup
eyes
right now.
So again, I've only done my eyes for the podcast. But
Yeah, how come you didn't do
typically-
your eyes in such a way to make yourself look 10 years older?
That's a
because,
fantastic argument, by the way.
because I don't make anything different about myself. I only accentuate what I already have. So when I'm older,
Yeah,
I
but
would
why?
just
What would be the point of
accentuate.
that? If you believe that mature women are more beautiful than younger women, and you have makeup, and you can use the makeup to make yourself
I
look more
can.
mature, why wouldn't you then just use the makeup to make yourself look more mature? That makes
Because
no
I
sense.
I think
to me.
most of
Why
the
would I
time makeup
look-
does make you look older.
It does make you look more mature. I'm gonna look a lot younger if I don't have.
No, but it doesn't make you look aged. So the thing is that when you're talking about age for maturity, which is what we're talking about for maturity, not emotional maturity, whatever bullshit you come up with, just age. Why don't you use makeup to make yourself appear to be 40 if you think that that would actually enhance your beauty?
To add on to that, so if you
Okay.
look at movies, for example, they do have makeup techniques that can make them look older, but you don't typically see women using those techniques, that would create perhaps the perception of more wrinkles on the face, for example. Why don't, if it was the case that women were more attractive when they were older?
To me personally, because that was the question. That was the question.
Most
Would
women
I
want to be
think?
more youthful.
Most women
I think
do
that
wanna
that's
be
even
more
worse,
useful.
though, because if it's only a personal standard and you're only upholding yourself to a personal standard, and your personal standard is that if you were older, you would look better, why in the hell wouldn't you personally apply the makeup to make yourself personally look older?
Because why would I change what I look like at all?
If you think
Oh, so you hang on, wait a second. So you don't diet, you don't exercise, you don't go jogging, you don't do anything to change any of the ways that you
I
look.
actually don't.
You don't do anything
I don't diet.
ever to
I don't
change.
exercise. I don't do anything to change my
You
appearance.
don't comb your hair.
Okay, well, I comb my hair
You
so
don't
that
pluck
it
your
doesn't-
eyebrows.
Okay, I
You-
pluck
you
my
have
Right?
a
You
bit of
don't. You don't do.
hair
I mean, you
dye.
do all of these
yeah,
things.
and I used to dye my hair all the time because that's just a reflective of my personality at that particular time. Again, everything is a constant change. But like, why would I
You don't
make
do
myself?
yoga?
No, I don't do yoga. I can't do yoga
I
with
get,
my
like, yoga vibes
with
from you.
with my
Yeah,
mobility.
the arms. For
So I actually, when I
Yeah,
was
look
16,
at the vascularity on the deltoid. Like,
yeah. So I actually, when I was 16, I wanted to be a bodybuilder. And I trained, and after like 6 months, I've realized that I am not putting the muscle that I want in comparison to my boyfriend, and I quit.
I'll ask my magic wand question. So if right now I could wave a magic wand and you could advance your outside physical appearance 20 years, it would have no impact on your health. For example, you wouldn't age 20 years in terms, because people have a what's the average age of death. It wouldn't get you 20 years closer to your the age you would otherwise die at. Just your outward appearance, no health ramifications.
So like
just
absolutely nothing.
No
changed.
negative health ramifications. You just advance your age, your appearance forward 20 years.
Okay. Well, if I wouldn't have to put on makeup every day to make myself look older, and it just magically would happen
instantly.
Yeah, I would totally do it.
You'd age yourself 20 years
Yeah,
outwardly.
if it does not have any effect on my
No
health,
negative
it
health.
does not do anything in how close I am to death. Like, I do think
What about 40 years?
in 40 years, so that would be
40.
well, that's what we were talking about.
I think she said
Yeah,
after
yeah. Would
30.
you age yourself forward with the same scenario? It doesn't take 40 years off your life. You just cosmetically look 40 years older.
Yeah, that's
so you
what
look
we were
like
talking
you're,
about.
Hang on. So you look like you're 60. Would you prefer to walk around looking like you're 60?
No, I do think that after, like, once I get in my 50s, I would not, the skin would sag in a way that I wouldn't necessarily be, okay.
You're taking shots at her.
I'm talking about my own personal genes with my grandmother, who I look very much alike.
All right.
So
Yeah.
I do not think I would be attractive after that particular age. That's it.
Okay, that's fair. So you think that women in their 50s generally aren't 10s?
No, I personally, again, we're talking about me personally. I have dated
Yeah, I'm
women in
talking
their
about
50s.
you personally.
I've dated women in their 60s, and they were gorgeous.
Okay, so wait a second. I'm
So
not
it's
saying that
literally about
some
myself.
women in their 60s, stop. I'm not saying some women in their 60s can't be gorgeous, though how many women in their 60s you've dated, I'm skeptical of. But assuming for a second
Well,
that even
only
you
dated.
have dated women in their 60s,
One.
and they happen to be gorgeous, it does sound like you think that most women in their 60s likely are not gorgeous.
No,
No? So then why wouldn't you want to be aged to 60?
because I just like the 40 stage. Like, that's when I think is the peak for
Of beauty?
the beauty with my particular genes, because that's when my grandmother was the most beautiful. That's when I would feel the most empowered.
You're a super colossal big baby donated $200. Why do women always make it about feelings? No one cares about the internals. They are asking about external looks.
And me too. I'm talking about external looks. I think my grandmother looked gorgeous in her 40s. I know I will look very similar to her. And then in her 50s, her body started to change in the ways that I would rather my body not change.
Also, it's a you guys are like asking an opinion-based question.
Exactly.
And so if somebody prefers to look a certain way, then you can say that they're wrong because you have a different opinion all day long until you're blue in the face, but her opinion's not going to change on it. So it's like I love a debate and I love like disagreeing opinions, but her opinion's not changed. I don't think it's going to change. So it's like, what's the point in talking in circles about it? I don't understand. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Because reality.
Yeah, I'm
is
actually
that-
happy to engage with what you just said. So let's start here. You do agree with me that people can have all sorts of different opinions, but they're not necessarily going to be honest with you about what their actual opinion is, right? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
They could be honest with you, but they also could lie about their opinion, right?
100%.
So,
why-
well, I'm asking her. Hang on, let her answer.
Oh, sorry.
I do agree that you can have different opinions and that each person might not be honest about their opinion or forthcoming about it. But in a rebuttal,
So hang on. So you can do through a series of inquiries by testing what it is that they are claiming, whether or not, if we map it onto reality, if they would hold that same opinion or if they would change that opinion. So it's possible that people are not always going to be forthcoming or honest about their opinion. And so when you say, well, it's just an opinion, that doesn't really mean anything. There's a
Well-
good possibility that people, if they don't like the ramifications of where a question is going with their opinion, may not answer it honestly.
But you're
but
asking
why,
for an opinion.
But why? Okay, but when she is saying something that's completely different from everyone else at the table, why would she put herself in the wrong, a theoretical wrong point of view if it's not going to do her any good? She could have easily lied and gone with the same opinion
Yeah.
that everyone else wants her to say.
Let us
but instead
let us
she's
test
holding
and
her
see if
ground.
what you're saying makes sense or if what I'm saying makes sense. Let us assume for a second you were the only woman in that room who believed in Santa Claus. I'm assuming you don't believe that Santa Claus exists, correct?
Are you talking to me or her? No, for me, obviously.
Yeah, you don't believe. But let us assume for a second you did believe that Santa Claus existed and none of the other women there did, and you said it's just my opinion. And so then I pulled up a bunch of maps and I showed you that
But
in
that's
the
a
North Pole.
fact.
Hang on, stop. That in the North Pole there is no elves and there is no Santa, and all the satellite imaging we have would show that if such a thing existed, everybody you would literally be eliminated because of the extreme cold, and that then I mathematically demonstrated for you that it would be impossible for one man to deliver toys all over the earth in the middle of the night, and that magic isn't real.
See what you're asking.
Hang on, could that change your opinion?
See, what you're asking is is not an opinion-based question like what Brian asked about, would you feel like you look better in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, etc. That is an opinion-based question. I can have the opinion that,
You
yes,
think
I
Santa
will
Claus
look better.
comes down your chimney at night?
Stop,
That's an
stop,
opinion-based
because I
question.
stop for you when you tell me to stop, so I'm going to tell you to stop now because I'm not done talking. Okay? So when I have an opinion...
You go, girl. You show me that sass. You tell him.
I'm not
You
trying to
tell
be
that
sassy.
mean man
I'm
on the
not trying to be
screen, girl.
sassy.
You go.
I'm not trying
Get in
to
there.
You're so good.
See, I'm not trying to be sassy. In no way am I trying to be rude to you. And anyway, I'm not laughing at your opinion. I'm not trying to like be sassy in any sense, way, or form. I'm literally just talking to you, and you're telling me stop in the middle of my conversation. So yes, I'm going to do the
Well,
same
no, I
to
was
you and
telling
tell you
you,
to
I was
pause
only
and let me
saying to
finish my
stop
thought
so I could-
because now
so I
you've
could ask the
derailed my
question,
train of
that's all.
thought.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was my turn to speak. That's why I asked you to stop. Yeah.
And it was my turn to speak, and you started, so that's why I said stop, and then you called me sassy. But I didn't
Yeah,
call you
sometimes
names
it's,
when you told
I
me
didn't
to stop.
call you sassy. You just
There
made
go
that up.
again. See? Okay. I think you just like to talk over women. And I remember seeing a clip of you calling a woman a bitch on here, too, so don't even get me started. I would like to
Was she
finish my
being
thought real
a
quick.
stupid bitch?
I don't care. I would like to...
You don't care? What is she being a stupid bitch? Like, do you think that women are incapable of being stupid bitches? Because, man, I got to tell you, the number one insult I hear from women about other women
And so I do
is
the same
this
thing.
word,
Can I
bitch.
ask you a
She's
question?
a bitch. That's the number one insult I hear.
Can I ask
Just
you a
saying.
question? Wait,
We got one at a time, even if it's Andrew talking.
can I ask you a question?
Well, I'd like her to finish her exchange for rant. She's welcome
finish
to.
first.
No, I'm good. I'd rather not be talked over, so it's fine. It's fine. You can just... All I was trying to say was that he asked an opinion-based question, correct? So it's an opinion. What you said and your counter argument was, do I believe in Santa Claus? If I believed in Santa, that's a factual question. Santa Claus does not exist. So that's not the same type of question. You're asking a factual question rather than an opinion-based question. And I want to apologize if I came off sassy by telling you to stop, but I simply did the exact same thing that you did to me.
You were
But don't you think when you're talking about an opinion, when you're saying, okay, such and such opinion, don't you think that an opinion that you hold is a fact to you? This is factual to you.
There's a difference between a fact and an opinion.
Oh, really? What's the difference?
You can have an opinion about anything and it not be a personal opinion. And you're asking a personal opinion-based question whether you think you look better at so-and-so age, and that is up to the person that thinks whatever they want to think, whether it's they would look better younger, older, whatever. I'm not agreeing that I don't think I would look better in 10 years, 20 years, but I'm not going to discredit her opinion, and it's not the same as asking if Santa Claus exists. So
what if your opinion was that Santa Claus existed? Wouldn't that be a fact to you?
That's not a fact, though. In reality, Santa Claus doesn't exist.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm asking if it would be a fact to you.
It's a belief, not an opinion.
He's saying that it's a fact that when you have more wrinkles, you don't.
Does anyone else understand the argument that I'm giving right now?
Yes, in fact, I'll steal in your argument.
Am I coming off like a dumb bitch? Am I coming off like that?
He's trying to.
Because I swear to God.
He's trying to argue with you that it's the same thing because to him it's a fact that when you have more wrinkles, you're less attractive. She's saying it's a fact to her that having more wrinkles to you, or not more wrinkles,
both are in fact
being more mature.
Both are actually not facts; they're opinions.
Yeah, I know, but we can argue that all day whether it's
Santa
a fact
Claus exists.
I want to ask you a question because I have genuine curiosity. So when you ask those questions and when you argue your point, you have a certain outlook on women over that have certain opinions, right? Because like to you, what does this question mean? Like, what are you trying to change perception of those women that you have an opinion of? I'm trying to phrase it. Right.
So for me, I don't really ask the ratings question much. I just engage in it, right? So ultimately, if you're asking my perspective, I don't give a shit what any of you think. But because this is a show where we are supposed to engage with another person's opinion and what they think, I still would actually like to understand the reasoning as to how somebody can come to such absurd conclusions about things that I clearly know that they don't believe.
I have mommy issues.
Hang on. Within a series of quick questions, we can make a determination they clearly don't believe it. The same way you can if somebody says, I hold the opinion Santa Claus kisses mommy every year at Christmas. You could say, okay, but I can demonstrate that you're holding a false belief, even if it's your opinion that it's true. Even if it's an opinion, even if the opinion is factual to you, it doesn't mean that it's true. So saying something like, I would rate myself at 40 to be more good-looking based on my genes than not. That's my opinion. And so therefore you can't refute it. But you can actually refute these things if you give some other commonality that a person agrees to. They start to question their opinion. That's the whole point of it.
I get it. So my question is, you have a problem with someone who's trying to argue that to them at 40 they'll feel like they will look better. So you have a problem with someone that kind of doesn't go with the reality that we perceive.
Only if it's inconsistent. Perhaps it could be possible. It could be possible, for instance, that somebody could give a really good reasoned answer. That is, it's reasoned out well and it's argued well as to why they think that 45-year-old women are generally more attractive than 25-year-old women, for instance. I would be willing to listen and engage in the argument and have my mind changed about it. But that's not what happens. What happens instead is obfuscation, bullshit, lies, and everything in the world to try to avoid answering the thing which is obvious to everybody. So here's what I think. I'm going to tell you my opinion. My opinion.
Is it an opinion or a belief?
This is my opinion.
Okay,
it's just my opinion, so you have to hold it as being valid, right? Because it's just my opinion. All of the women in the room who said they were 10s are lying. That's my opinion.
There was only one.
So one more question. Without us talking in like huge generalities. If someone was like extremely, I don't know, overweight or something in all through their 20s or 30s that you would perceive as non-attractive, and then they lose all the weight and then they get in shape and then they look great, and you know, to you obviously they're going to be more attractive. So in that case, you would agree, right? That
Sure. So I would always I never put anything in a monolith. I would never say all anything. So I would never, for instance, say that just because on average there are women who or almost no women in their 40s are going to be more attractive than their 20-year-old self, that doesn't mean that I wouldn't say that there wouldn't be some who could be, because obviously there could.
But that's based on your own attraction values, though. It's not based on my
so here's the thing. I hold a different belief. I think that there are universal metrics for attraction. And the reason that I believe that this must be true is because cross-culturally, almost in every culture, when we look at historical beauty standards even, there's remarkable similarities when it comes to the picturesque of a woman that men go for and for the types of men that women go for. Most of the statues that we see that are showing enlightened men, for instance, they're somewhat muscular, they're tall, this kind of thing. It seems that the attractiveness, the universal metrics for this don't really change that much. I do think that culturally there's going to be some relativism when it comes to some things. For instance, perhaps there's a culture where women wear rings around their neck and it stretches their neck. And so if you see women who don't have that, it might seem odd to you. It might not seem like that's an attractive feature. Whereas I think you would still find hip ratio to breast ratio to still be attractive and this kind of thing. I do think that there are some universalities, because otherwise how would you know what is or is not a healthy female to breed with? How would you know that?
So to you, it's, well, based on, what if in like 10 years there's something that reverses the way you look? So is this question going to be relevant to you? So is there more to it, or is it just based on? Because I think
so if there was a magic, let's say there was a magic pill, or not a scientific pill, which reversed the aging process, well then what would happen then is we would still be correct, because what women would be doing is reversing their 40-year-old age to their 20-year-old age, because that's more attractive.
But do you think No, I know. I'm saying, do you think, for example, if there's a woman in her 50s and then there's a woman in her 20s, and you can't really tell physically how they look, would you choose someone in their 20s that's less experienced, or someone in their 50s, but like the face, the wrinkles, physically they kind of look similar?
To date, or who's more attractive?
Attractive. Like, so does personality, maybe someone with more experience or wisdom, does that play part, or is it only based on, like, you can't tell a difference?
So you can ask the same question a different way, and you would end up with the same exact answer. You could say, okay, if you had two 20-year-old women and you couldn't tell that, or you had a 25-year-old woman and you had a 20-year-old woman, or a 21-year-old woman and a 27-year-old woman, and they looked like they were the same age, would you choose based on personality traits if they were almost equally attractive? Yeah, sure, of course, that would come into it. But that really doesn't have anything to do with whether or not the attractiveness traits themselves were there.
I think I was making a question because I've heard some arguments in the past that some guys go for younger women because they feel like they are more moldable. I don't know.
Yeah, but hang on, that's a different question, and I'm happy to engage with that one too. Yeah. I do think, for instance, if we were to take your comparison, there's a 45-year-old woman who took an anti-aging pill. Now she looks exactly like her 20-year-old self. Mm-hmm. And then you have a 20-year-old woman who's next to her, right? At that point, would the beauty standard be the only thing the man is going for? Right. I still think a man would often go for the 20-year-old, the one who's innately 20, right? Why? Because she would have less baggage.
But what if the other woman is more intellectually engaging, who enjoys more time with spending time with
I think that men care far less about female intellect than you think. Not in my experience. That's one. And then two,
Not in my experience.
I think that they care the most about baggage. I think they care about baggage more than anything.
Not in my experience, but I respect your opinion.
He's an older gentleman, so I mean, he's kind of been around.
Well, I'm with an older gentleman with a 50-year-old.
Okay. That's valid. But I'm just saying, like, everyone's...
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm guessing that he really values you for your intellect, huh? That's what he values in you, is your intelligence. Is it because he can have long, all-night conversations with you?
Yes.
Or does he perhaps value you more because he thinks you're young and hot?
No.
No, of course not. Nah. Nah, that doesn't even come into play.
This is very.
It's
This
because
is
you're
such a
very
crazy
mature for
thing
your
to
age.
say.
So
How old do you think I am? How do you think I am? I'm
Okay.
older than you think, actually.
So someone who
Well, how old
has-
are you?
How old do you think I am? But
I don't know. I would say late 20s, early 30s.
I'm 34. Yeah.
Okay, so early 30s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, right about there. So the thing is again, I think that now this is just a guess, just my shot in the dark. But I think that he probably values your physical attractiveness even more than he does your intellect. And I know how that sounds. It must sound awful. On the
it
other
doesn't
end.
sound awful.
But
I completely.
I think it's actually realistic for me to point these things out because they are true.
No, I totally agree. And that's why he really looks after himself because he realizes he doesn't want to look bad for me. So I don't disregard your opinion. If I looked different, he might not like me, but I think it's not just the look that a guy is not going to hold a woman if she's not going to be there for him intellectually and physically. I don't think there's one thing.
Let me give a little pushback here. Not so sure that what you would consider the value of intellectual is the same that I would value. So, for instance, let me ask you then specifically, when you say he values your intellect, what about you is so intellectual that should be valued?
No, I'm saying he values both. He values the fact that
I know, but answer to my question. What about you is so intellectual that it should be valued?
Well, first of all, I'm not saying I'm like this crazy intellectual person, but I'm someone that he can engage on any level of conversation with.
Any level?
For him, at any level, yes.
So can he sit down and talk to you about how the carburetor is broken and ask for your advice on how he should fix it?
No. I'm saying to him. He's not the type of person that's not what interests him. I'm saying based on our common interests, I'm the person that can engage with him on those conversations.
Well, let's see if that's true. What are the things that interest him that he intellectually values in you? I'm kind of curious now.
Well, we talk a lot about science. We talk a lot about metaphysical stuff. We talk a lot about psychology. We talk a lot about different places in the world and perception of different countries and how
you talk about metaphysics?
Yeah, we talk a lot about spirituality and metaphysical things. We talk a lot about quantum.
Well, what is when you classify something as being metaphysical? What does that mean?
Well, based on, like, for example, we talk a lot about whether, and it's not just with him, but, like, for example, I'm very interested.
Yeah, but what do you think metaphysical is?
Something to do with your consciousness and how it reflects into a physical world.
That's what metaphysics is?
Yeah, you can. I mean, there's so many wide array of conversations you can go about it. How, whether someone has, the whole debate about consciousness, whether it's, your mind is connected to your soul, or if there is a soul, or, something that's kind of beyond just everyday reality. There's a lot of things to talk about, and it just doesn't have to be. But you know what I mean? Like, there's engaging conversation.
No, I mean, I'm trying to figure this out, right? So, from my perspective, I'm trying to figure out these interesting intellectual conversations which can be had with you about metaphysics, and that is the thing. Those are the things which is keeping this guy interested. Not the fact that you're much younger and he likely really enjoys having physical intimacy.
Well, the thing is that
that's just a guess.
No. I will directly rebut your argument. Is because he can have any other. There's plenty of attractive women that are younger than me out there, and he can have them. He's a very attractive man, and he can have them. Why would he choose me? So I'm saying there has to be something more than just plain physical attractiveness to keep a relationship.
Also, why would
you guys been dating?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I don't know because
7 years? Wow.
Just to kind of get back into this, and we'll tie this up so that other people can get back in. But I'm not really sure because you think that metaphysics is about consciousness, and that's really weird to me. But even if we just kind of assumed that that's what it was. I don't really understand why that would be the value add.
No,
right?
I'm
Why
not
would that be
saying,
such a value add?
I'm not saying just that specifically. I'm not saying I'm this intellectual person. I'm saying stuff that he is interested in. I have the similar interests, and we can engage in conversations that we both get reward from. So if you don't have that in a relationship, it's never going to work. I don't believe that.
Well, then let me ask you this last question. Let us assume for a moment when you met him that half of your face was burned off and your tongue was hanging out of your mouth, but you still had the stellar personality you have today.
No, of course
You think
not.
he would have dated you?
No, I'm saying
No,
you have
I don't
to
think he
have.
would have either.
No, that's why I'm saying you have to have both. You can't have
Yeah,
one
well,
without the
I
other.
don't know. What I'm saying is that I think one is a higher priority than another. That's what I'm saying.
No, because you know what? I'm not gonna look the same in 10 years or 20 years, and everybody ages. But why
And
would
he
you?
might not be there in 10 years or 20 years.
Yeah,
Right?
but everybody
Like,
ages. You're not gonna stay with one person just based on their appearance when they're 35 or 25. You have to.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that.
I mean,
what
are
I'm
you
saying
with
is
your
that I
wife
think-
just-
I
are you
think that
married?
there's a hierarchy of motivational factors. So if I had to look at the hierarchy of motivational factors, I think that a man who is at his age is going to value in a woman at your age much more the physical intimacy than he is the long walks on the beach. That's
don't
now
walk
that's
on
just
the beach.
again, my opinion. But
Are you married?
you know, I bet you if he was
What's your
next to you right now, he'd be like, high five. High
it's
five,
not-
right? He'd go, yeah, you're right. You're totally right,
no,
bro.
No, I'm saying it's not. It's not only him I've been with, so it's not just based on one relationship I've had. Are you married? What's your relationship status?
Yeah, I'm married.
Okay, so with your wife, do you just value her for her looks?
Well, she's a mother. She's the mother of my children.
Okay, so you value her more than just her looks, obviously.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So
she's
you
the mother
chose
of
a
my she's the
partner.
mother of my children.
chose
Her
a-
entire job and duty is to raise my genetic offspring into maturity. That's a super valuable job, right?
Yeah.
Do you have this man's children?
I want to have a child one day.
Yeah, I know, but you don't have it right now, right?
But I'm saying if you chose your wife just based on appearance, you would trust her to raise your children. So obviously there's going to be more to why you're choosing that
Sure, there's
person.
contributing factors. I'm just saying there's a hierarchy which exists.
I told
you keep on
that
kind
as
of
well.
presenting
There
this.
has to
The
be
counter
two
is
things. You have to be.
hang on, chill for a second. You keep on presenting this in a kind of false straw man way where you're saying that I'm saying it's either one or the other. I'm also agreeing with you that there's both in play. There has to be some personality to go with the beauty, ultimately for something long term. I'm not disputing
can I
that.
say something?
What
I
I'm
agree.
disputing is whether or not they're equal to each other.
Well,
What
I
I'm
believe they're
disputing is
equal.
whether or not there isn't a hierarchy here of what it is that is valued before the other thing. And so what I'm saying is that let me put it to you a different way. I think that your man, if he had two buttons he could push and he had to push one, button one, it eliminated this great intellect. Or number two, it made you a massive burn victim who was ugly as sin. Which button do you think he would push?
That's such an irrelevant question because I'm
Answer
gonna.
the question. Don't obfuscate. Answer.
Yeah, I agree with you. Obviously.
Which button? Which
You
button?
gotta answer the
one.
question.
Yeah, he's not gonna want me to be a burn victim, but same question
So,
to you.
which thing does he value
okay,
more?
well, let me ask you just same question to you. If you were with someone who is your wife, right? Very attractive, but she was not the personality you wouldn't want her to raise your children. How is that not equal? You would want someone that's more
Because
attractive.
what I'm saying is that
and
there's a hierarchical value which exists, and you just demonstrated it. You agree with me. Hang on, you agree with me.
Because
that if
I don't
you're
have
physical,
his
if you had
children
to
right
choose,
now.
why don't you let me answer the question you just asked?
Okay, sorry about that. Answer.
So, if I ask you, there's two buttons, you must push one, or he must push one. Which one would he push? The elimination of your beauty, or the elimination of the long walks on the beach and the talks about metaphysics and the higher intellect? You think he would push the button which would eliminate that rather than the physical beauty?
Oh,
That's
no,
showing
I
you
would,
here
no,
that
he would-
in a bifurcated, in literally two options, you think that the one that he would push must have some higher value to him than the other.
Yeah, he would definitely push the one where my beauty, for sure. And most other men that I've been with as well. I asked them that.
So that's my only point. So you're agreeing with me that there's a hierarchy of needs
Yeah.
when it comes to this.
And I think it's more important if you're with someone and you want them to raise your children and have children with them, it's more important than the looks because the looks are going to fade very
Yeah,
quickly.
I could agree that if you asked me the same question right now, which would be more valuable to your wife's physical beauty or her ability to raise your children, if I had the same case for the buttons, I would push the one which eliminated her physical beauty and kept her intellect intact to
Exactly.
continue the raising of my genetic offspring. But your answer was different because you don't have his children. You think he values the hierarchy of your beauty first, then your intellect, and I agree.
No, I know. I was talking about when you first meet someone. When we first met, yes. And for me as well.
It feels like it's changing the goalposts
No.
a little
I'm sorry
bit.
if I'm not changing my opinion at all. When you first meet, when you first date, yes. But when you decide to be with someone and you decide to go further in life with them, then you choose someone not based on the looks.
Right, but if the looks don't come first, then there will be you won't even
Other
have
thing.
the option.
I agree with that, but you can choose not to.
And
stay
actually,
with
she
them.
demonstrated that with the earlier question I asked. If she was a burn victim but had her same personality, would this guy be dating her right now? Answer, no. If right now he could select between these two things, which would he pick? The beauty would be higher on the hierarchy there as well.
So one final thing from the both of you on this, because I do want to get other people in. So
I'm just saying that once again, I was arguing that it's exactly the same importance. Yeah, you meet someone and you like how they look and you like how they speak to you. For me, at least.
Well.
Why not just be a hookup? Why not he just hook up with her? If it's just about the physical appearance, he chose to be in a committed long-term relationship with her rather than. You can hook up with somebody and they might be dumber than a box of rocks. Like, and
probably
you can still hook up with them based on the physical experience.
Actually, I want to challenge this idea that, because you mentioned intellect and then you mentioned dumber than a box of rocks. Let's bring in, because we're talking about intellect now, let's bring in personality disposition. So perhaps they're not particularly intelligent, they're dumber than a box of rocks, but they're a good person, they have good morals, they have good values, and they have a pleasant disposition and personality. Versus you can be highly intelligent and be a absolute pain in the ass to be around. You can have a negative world outlook. You could be, name any sort of negative personality trait. You can be intelligent and still have those negative personality traits. So this whole trope of like, well, my intelligence, honestly, I kind of would rather just chill with. We don't even have to talk, and I can still like you.
No, I totally
I'd rather
agree.
just watch
I agree.
House of the Dragon.
No,
Game of Thrones.
I wasn't. When I was saying that,
We don't gotta talk.
I'm not saying about intelligence. I'm saying more about personality, that you click with somebody else.
Yeah, but the capability to have a conversation, I mean, it was somewhat related to intelligence.
Yeah, but someone is one dumber than a box of rocks. When you have a life issue that everybody has, would you rather go through life and through life's issues with someone who's dumber than a box of rocks?
But this is really weird because we keep on agreeing with this point over and over, or at least I was. I mean, I keep agreeing with your point. Yes, both are important. Yes, both are important. Yes, both are important. One more time. Yes, both are important.
Equal.
But does that mean equal though? What's my argument is they're not equal. Not that they're not important, but not
That's
equal.
your argument, and my argument is that equal, and that's it.
All right,
If your argument truly was that they were equal, then when the button scenario came up, whichever one he pushed should have no value merit to him whatsoever because they're both equal.
No. It's
Sorry,
at a different
that was the last
point.
word. That was the last
Yeah.
word. To wrap up the thing on the 10 to, I think we left off
Not with me. I didn't answer.
the 10 to 20. I think. It's definitely you.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll be better looking in 10 years? You're 22 now. Do you think you'll be better looking at 32?
No.
Okay. What about you? You're 19. Do you think you'll be better looking at 29 than you are now at 19?
I do, because that's when my mom said that she peaked, and I'm like,
Okay. What about 39 compared to now?
probably not, no.
Okay. What about 39 to 29?
Like, probably 29. I feel
Okay.
like you peak in your mid-20s to early 30s. I feel
All
like
right.
that's like peak.
What about you? Better looking in 10 years?
No, but
Do you think
I
this is
am-
your peak right now at 53?
Well, I will say I'm better looking than I was 10 years ago. So I lost 130 pounds in last 6 years ago.
Okay.
So I feel like I'm better looking now, but I don't think I will be better looking in 10 years.
All right. And then what about you? Better looking in 10 years or better looking now at 19?
No.
No? Okay. And then what about you? Better looking at 44 or better looking at 34 now?
I'll try to look the same. I don't know. Maybe 44 is still young to me. I think you'll start declining after that.
I love hearing about everyone's declining.
I know. I'm saying that, okay, I'm way better looking now than I was when I was 24. So I don't know.
It does.
Okay,
I try to live healthy.
Wait, so better looking.
Now or in 10 years.
Can you get off your phone back there and rejoin the table kindly?
I don't.
Family
But yeah, I
emergency.
mean, of course, as you age. But I think in 10 years we'll have that pill that reverses.
I mean, there are different ways to,
Wait,
like
so-
Botox and things like that. I mean, there
Yeah,
are ways
so,
to
okay.
reverse.
Hold on.
I'm talking about naturally.
Let me add a qualifier, all else being equal. So if she could get Botox now and get it then,
I don't think I'll
that's
get
the
Botox.
framework.
I
Okay,
don't
well, she
think
doesn't.
I'm not gonna do it.
Okay. And honestly,
yeah, I'll
a
look-
44-year-old with Botox looks like a 44-year-old with Botox.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's why I
She
don't
don't
think I'll
look-
do any of that.
She's not 44 who looks 34.
Amber, what's that one shot that you can get that like Miley Cyrus gets into? NAD? No, NAD.
Brian Johnson
NAD's like
reversed his age.
it's like, I don't know the, I'm not a fucking doctor.
Okay,
but
so anyways,
Yes,
That does
of course.
help.